My daughter, who has always brought joy and pride into my life, recently surprised me with a request that I never expected. As she was preparing for her upcoming wedding, she expressed her desire for her stepdad to walk her down the aisle instead of me. This revelation struck me like a bolt of lightning, leaving me momentarily speechless. I had always envisioned myself in that role, filled with pride as I gave her away on such a momentous occasion. However, when I stood my ground and made it clear that I would not pay for her wedding under those circumstances, her excitement waned almost instantly. It was a painful reminder of the shifting dynamics in our relationship, one that had been reshaped by the complexities of our family's history. The roots of this situation stretch back to when my daughter was just 12 years old, a time that marked the beginning of our family's unraveling. It was then that my ex-wife's betrayal became painfully clear. She had been unfaithful to me and left our marriage to marry the man she had cheated with. The hurt I felt was indescribable, a mix of anguish and rage that consumed me. My feelings toward my ex-wife were filled with a deep-seated hatred, a visceral emotion that made the idea of being around her unbearable. I wanted to escape the toxicity that had invaded my life, to distance myself from the person who had shattered my trust and the life we had built together. Despite my overwhelming desire to run away from it all, I knew I had to prioritize my daughter's well-being. I wanted her to grow up in a loving, stable environment, free from the animosity that had poisoned our family. After much deliberation, I agreed to a shared custody arrangement with my ex-wife. I believed it was the best decision for my daughter, a way to ensure that she would have both parents in her life while providing her with the stability she deserved. We agreed never to disclose the details of the affair to her, hoping to protect her innocence and shield her from unnecessary pain. It was a difficult choice, but one I made out of love and concern for her mental health. As the years passed, my ex-wife's new husband quickly became a significant figure in my daughter's life, taking on the role of her stepdad. Initially, I struggled with this development, grappling with my mixed emotions. I didn't want to harbor resentment toward him. After all, he was now part of my daughter's life, and I wanted her to be happy. When she returned from spending time at their house, I would listen to her stories, trying to hide my discomfort behind a smile. She would excitedly recount all the fun adventures she had with her stepdad, and while a part of me felt a twinge of jealousy, I couldn't help but feel relieved that she was happy. To her, he was a source of joy, and I knew it was important for her to have that. Even with my long working hours, I made it a priority to spend quality time with her whenever I could. I wanted her to know she was loved and cherished. For her 17th birthday, I collaborated with her mother to purchase her a new car, a gift that I hoped would signify my unwavering support and affection. Given my higher income compared to my ex-wife and her husband, I ended up contributing a larger portion of the cost. When my daughter opened the gift, her eyes lit up with pure excitement, and she thanked her mother profusely, which, while sweet, stung a little for me. I couldn't help but notice that she didn't express the same level of gratitude toward me, but I chose to overlook it. My primary focus was her happiness, and I reminded myself that she was still a teenager trying to navigate her emotions and the complexities of our family. As she turned 18, my daughter began spending more and more time at her mother's house. I trusted her judgment and believed in the values I had instilled in her, but I soon realized that my ex-wife was subtly trying to pull my daughter away from me. I had always kept my communication with my ex-wife limited to what was necessary for our daughter, which meant I was often unaware of how she spent her time during those visits. This growing distance between us weighed heavily on my heart, making me anxious about my relationship with my daughter. Despite the challenges, I continued to support my daughter's education wholeheartedly. I worked diligently to help her get accepted into the best college in our city, fully funding her tuition. I wanted her to be able to focus on her studies without the added stress of having to work to pay off student loans. It was crucial to me that she could pursue her dreams without financial burdens weighing her down. Looking back, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a lack of gratitude from her side, but I never asked for acknowledgement. My love for her was unconditional, and I was determined to do what was best for her, regardless of whether she expressed appreciation. Now, at 26, my daughter has graduated, moved into her own house, and recently got engaged to the love of her life, a man she met during her college years. When I heard the news, my heart swelled with pride and happiness. I couldn't wait to call her and congratulate her on this new chapter in her life. During our conversation, filled with excitement and warmth, I offered to pay for her wedding. I knew how special this day would be for her, and since I trusted her fiancé to take good care of her, I wanted to ensure that she had a memorable experience. She was overjoyed to hear my offer, telling me that it made her even happier and that she felt so lucky to have my support. As she began planning her dream destination wedding in Italy, she shared her vision of a beautiful ceremony, complete with a large budget that I was more than willing to provide. The thought of giving her away on her special day filled me with joy and anticipation. I envisioned a celebration filled with love and happiness, where she could shine as she embarked on this new journey with the man she loved. Despite the ups and downs of our relationship over the years, I was determined to make this moment special for her, hoping it would strengthen the bond between us as father and daughter. In that moment, I felt a sense of hope for the future. The challenges we had faced together had shaped us both, and I was eager to see where this new chapter would lead. No matter the complexities of our past, I wanted to be there for her, cheering her on as she stepped into a beautiful new life filled with love and promise. A couple of days after our last conversation, my heart sank when I received a call from her with what I could only describe as the worst news imaginable. My daughter, the little girl I had poured my heart and soul into raising, had decided she wanted her stepdad to walk her down the aisle instead of me. The moment the words left her mouth, a wave of disbelief washed over me. I felt an overwhelming sense of betrayal and confusion. I immediately expressed my disapproval, trying to understand why she would make such a choice. I told her how much it meant to me to walk her down the aisle, how I had always envisioned that moment as a celebration of our bond. She seemed unfazed by my distress, downplaying the significance of the situation. "It's not a big deal," she insisted, brushing off my feelings. She explained that it was just something her stepdad wanted to do, as if that was a sufficient reason to exclude me. I countered, my voice steady but filled with hurt, reminding her that I wanted this too, and as her biological father, I had every right to be a part of this milestone in her life. Then her tone shifted dramatically. Without warning, she began to scream at me, insisting that I calm down, even though I hadn't raised my voice at all. It was as if her anger was directed at my sadness. She firmly stated that it was her choice, and she had decided that her stepdad would walk her down the aisle. In that moment, it felt like my world was crashing down around me. Her words were deafening. They echoed in my mind and drowned out everything else. I hung up the phone, my heart heavy, desperately trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill over. I was left in disbelief. I had given her everything, my time, my love, and my unwavering support. I had sacrificed so much for her happiness, even maintaining a cordial relationship with her mother, the very woman who had shattered my heart. Then came the messages from my ex-wife, filled with accusations. She called me a terrible person and claimed I was ruining our daughter's wedding with my so-called unreasonable demands. I was stunned. In a moment of desperation, I took screenshots of those hurtful texts and sent them to my daughter, hoping that she would see the unfairness in her mother's words and recognize the emotional turmoil I was experiencing. To my shock, my daughter sided with her mother. She told me I should just leave her alone. I felt my heart shatter further. It was incomprehensible to me that my desire to be included in her life was viewed as an unreasonable demand. After hours of sobbing, clarity began to emerge amid my pain. I realized I had to take a stand for myself. I made the decision to stop financing the wedding. I understood that they would struggle to afford a destination wedding without my support, but I felt no obligation to fund something I wouldn't even be part of. As soon as I sent that text, my phone erupted with notifications. My ex-wife suddenly became very apologetic, and my daughter began texting frantically, claiming she hadn't meant what she said, that it had all been a joke. She insisted that I could still walk her down the aisle, but only if I continued to pay for the wedding in Italy. At that moment, I felt a profound sense of sadness and frustration wash over me. I was tired of feeling like a pawn in this game. I replied simply, "Don't worry. I don't want to buy your love with money. I will leave you alone, just like you want." That was the last message I sent her. As the weeks passed, my ex and daughter bombarded me with messages, calling me a horrible person for backing out of my financial commitment. Some of the texts even made me chuckle, so I didn't feel the need to block them. They reached out to family members and friends, trying to convince me to take back my words. But I remained resolute, knowing I had to prioritize my own well-being. Today, after weeks of silence, I finally decided to respond to my daughter's relentless texts. I posted a selfie on Instagram, leaning against my new yacht in Monaco with the caption, "Oops, all the wedding budget was blown on this baby. Guess I'm not invited anymore." As I hit send, I felt a mix of sadness and liberation. It was a bitter reminder of the rift that had formed between us, but I knew that moving forward, I had to put myself first.